And good morning, everyone. Coming to you live from Studio B.
From your calendar, check.
And I don't know why that hits at 9 o'clock every morning. It's quiet all the rest of the day. But here we are. It's 2 days to go before we have ended all of our shows for 2020. We started CHAT CNNA last summer, and what an exciting time it's been. I mean, we are all about hemp. I have learned so much. We have had so many incredible guests on the show, and a lot more coming up in 2021. It's Have You Heard today, of course, the quick little version of CHAT CNNA. And we have an interesting show for you coming out of the home of fondue and Swiss cheese, and an interesting place. Switzerland, of course, is a very interesting country because on the one hand, it's over in Europe, and you think of it no different than when you go to visit Germany and Bavaria and yodeling and all of that. And you would include it probably if you were doing one of those, 10 countries in 2 weeks kind of a trip. But Switzerland is not part of the EU, not at all, where Britain was part of the EU, but they kept their money. And now, of course, they are separating again. A bad decision in my mind that was driven by mania on the part of the people that was not well thought through. And they are going to find that out now in their separation. But Switzerland always stayed separate. They have, of course, through the 2 world wars, always been neutral, and interesting place. They have their own money. They have their own attitudes about things. They also, for instance, every citizen is armed. And in their home, they have a firearm, and could be called up to the militia at any time. So they have an interesting system of how they work. Now, when it comes to hemp, they also have a very interesting system. Right now, smoking of the heathen devil weed is pretty much prohibited. Not at all in the liberal zone as much of Europe is. The only thing that's really allowed with a very, very specific permit and, of course, a diagnosis from your doctor and a permit from them is a form of THC for certain diseases like multiple sclerosis and things. And that's about it. But many, many years ago already, they decided that hemp is different from the THC product and put the marker at 1%. Remember, Europe is at 0.2, where we're at 0.3. Europe is at 0.2. They are at 1%. 1%, 5 times more than the rest of Europe. Europe, of course, is going to be moving to 0.3 now. They're just waiting for the last meetings in the European Parliament, EU Parliament. Got to get that right. European is just a zone, an area in your mind. The EU Parliament is a specific governing body that is maintaining the agreements between all of the countries that are in the EU or coming into the EU, because there's a very well-defined path for being almost like an apprentice country, and then ultimately becoming an EU member. And, it's an interesting journey that you go on as a country, because usually as you're coming into the EU, you are not as economically defined or of the same level as the other EU countries. So, for instance, your equivalent dollar goes way farther than a dollar in France or Germany. And so how do they start to equalize that? Because otherwise, for investment or employees, for instance, a company could quickly move their assembly down to your country and be assembling things for a 2-for-1 benefit. And that's not, of course, fair to the EU workers that are up in the main EU. Good for your country for a while, but then, of course, it's going to start equalizing, and but not it's really complicated. But when it comes to hemp, Switzerland has chosen to make 1% the marker. Of course, how's that going to work if they want to start shipping products from Switzerland into the EU? Also, there's complications here, you see. But this is what the Swiss have done, and it starts in 48 hours. In just 2 days, the laws go into effect. Therapeutic THC and cannabis preparations just require the Federal Office of Public Health to give you special permits. They do have a permit for a Sentivex. That's what I'm talking about. It's a 1-to-1 THC CBD ratio. And it's made by the same company that makes Epidiolex. Of course, that's the only prescription drug in the United States. That's a pill that's made from CBD. And here in the United States, right? You got that. Okay. So this is going to be opening the doors in Switzerland, and it's happening in 48 hours. We're going to see what's going to happen. How are they going to bump shoulders with their neighbors because of this difference in allowable limits in the product? The irony is that, you know, the seed laws were made back in 1998, but they could not actually plant seeds or anything. The cultivation literally starts in Switzerland. Obviously, it won't because of the winter, but the legal parts of it start in 2 days. Their agriculture department is called FOAG, the Federal Office for Agriculture, and whatever the G is at the end. CBD hemp, they call all the hemp that's not THC is called CBD hemp, even though it might be used for the other, remember the 4 streams that we talk about? They call it all CBD hemp, even though it might be used in the other streams. So that's the big news from the Federal Department of Economic Affairs, Education, and Research in Switzerland, also known as WBF. And things are changing over there in Switzerland in 48 hours. We're going to have to watch it, see how it falls out. Certainly, they're not thinking of having a hemp industry just for their country. But of course, the federal government in the United States is not going to allow 1% THC level products coming into this country, even if they're labeled Swiss origin. So we're going to have to find out how this is all going to work. That's Have You Heard for today, Chat CANNA on December 30th, 2020. One more show to go this year, and we'll put it all away, and we will start out 2021 and hopefully on new and different ground, both for the show, for the United States, for what's happening. In the meantime, wear your mask, social distance. Let's get past the rest of this. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock sharp.